Now, the Department of Social Development Men's Forum will be honouring men who are role models in society. The 8th edition of the 365 Men's Awards is aimed at recognising good men in a country where gender-based violence is rife. But for more on this, we're now joined in studio by the Chief Director of Stakeholder Relations, Gauteng Department of Social Development. That's Bongani Ngomane. Bongani, thank you for your time and a very warm good morning to you. This sounds like a great initiative, but you are in a better position to tell us why, or rather what inspired you to honour men in your 8th year, I understand.
Yes, good morning to everyone, all the viewers at home. Basically, this is an initiative that seeks to mobilize South African men against gender-based violence. Because our observation as government is that if you want men to be partners against gender-based violence and all other forms of social ills, you need to positively incentivize them. They need to get positive messages that makes them move forward. Because in the past the message was that men stop abuse, men stop rape, and those messages were not resonating with them. Because they will say, we are not abusers, it's him who's abusing, not me, so I'm not interested. But when you say those that are doing good in the society need to be recognized, then you are inspiring even those who are doing nothing, those who are inactive, to say, let me also start something, because indeed the society appreciates this. But also the youngsters, young boys get motivated, they get to have immediate role models that they see every day that they can learn from. Then we hope that through such initiatives it's easy to move and reprogram the mind of a man towards being a peaceful person, towards being a progressive person, and most of all, to be the agents of change that we want to see in South Africa.
And
yes.
I also know that with regards to this initiative, it's not only about honouring the men, but as you mentioned, mentoring the young boys. There are about 300 of them that I understand Bongani will be beneficiaries. Take me through the programs that you'll be embarking in mentoring these young boys.
In fact, we have partnered with Scouts SA, which is a organization that deals with mentoring boys and girls over years. So we have partnered with them. Our aim is that every year we should add the number, so that in the next 5 years at least we can have 10,000 boys in the program, focusing in behavioral change, but also in leadership, and also in ensuring that these boys themselves become peer counselors and even trainers for their own peers. We meet them twice a week, every Tuesday and Thursdays, in different schools around Gauteng, to instill these new values of being responsible, being patriotic, but most of all being reasonable and understanding to other gender. It's a program that is inspired by Social Development Men's Forum, because as we deal with boys, we also move around townships. Quite recently we are focusing in hostels to form and establish men's forums to talk to men about the effects of substance abuse, the importance of families, the importance of respecting and appreciating young girls and women in a society. So on the 17th of November, we will be appreciating and recognizing those that have walked this journey, are walking this journey, but also those that have done outstanding things for South Africa and have not disappointed us. Men who have done their service and who have retired or semi-retired. Men like Dr. Walisi Rote, Archbishop Glenstein Botwane, and there are quite many. We are also engaging with the chairperson of Kaizer Chiefs and Dr. Ivan Khoza. Once we get their permission, we hope they will also be part of that crew which will be honouring this year.
You also mentioned that, the men often feel that, and I think, when you said that statement, it reminded me of the hashtag all men are trash. And I remember men coming out saying, no, not all men are trash. Focus on the perpetrator and let's deal with the perpetrator that's involved in gender-based violence. But what do you think is the role of the good men that are watching the bad men on the sidelines, of course, doing, bad things or, engaging in gender-based violence? What's the role of the good man in terms of calling out the perpetrator, do you think? Because it's all good and well to have these awards, but is there enough of calling each other out as human beings to say, no, you will not do that in our name as men?
The role of a good man is very important because other people will say for evil to prevail in any society, it's for good men to sit down and do nothing.
Right.
So good men have got the responsibility to stand up, to mentor young boys, but also to help those that are struggling with anger, with emotional instability and all other personality disorders, to help them understand that there is a chance and there is time for them to change. You see, so they've got a very important role. As a result, Social Development Men's Forum is starting a campaign on getting 1 million men's petition throughout Gauteng or South Africa to make sure that these men sign against gender-based violence and all other forms of social ill. They will come out as volunteers, they will sign that petition so that as and when there is a need for them, there is a call-up for good men to stand up, we know where to find them. We know who has signed up for this good cause. So if you are a good man, you've got a chance to participate because other people are not really innovators, they are not self-starters, they are busy with other things. But they can sign up as and when there is a need, they can show up. They may show up through being physically there or through contributing in terms of resources.
Right.
But next month we will be also launching that. When the 16 days of activism comes to an end, we will launch that 1 million men's petition.
Right.
Yes.
And also, I mean, for women that are watching, that are either survivors of gender-based violence and actually applauding the efforts that you're making as a department, what would also your commitment be in terms of assisting for the conviction rate to also go up? Because, they have to go through court cases. Some are even fearful of reporting these cases. We may talk of reported gender-based violence cases, but there are many more that go unreported out of fear of re-victimization or reliving trauma. And I suppose as the department's men's forum, is there a commitment or a pledge that you're making of support in terms of going to the courts, making sure that you do lend your voice where the courts and, justice is concerned and where that assistance is also required?
No, we do that. We do. If there is a case that is reported to us or that we are aware of, we do approach families. We work very close with our social workers throughout our regions. We link them with our social workers for trauma counseling. Also, on the day of the courts, we mobilize men to go there to protest, to express their anger and outrage towards any form of abuse that happened to that particular lady. But we are also arguing the society to relook into this, because other people will say if you do one thing over and over again and the results are the same and you hope for different results, then there is something wrong with you. So we are saying, as South Africa, we keep on imprisoning perpetrators, but the rate of perpetrating of violence keeps on growing up. So the question is, what's the problem? Why people are not afraid of committing crime in South Africa? So those are issues as Men's Forum we are starting to engage on. We are starting to come with alternative solutions to say perhaps we need to revisit our curriculum at schools. Shouldn't we have something called maybe a subject on peace living or peace studies, Shouldn't we have a subject that talks maybe to emotional intelligence so that then people will learn what makes them understand themselves, understand their possible reaction and even trigger points, you see, when they were young, so that when they grow up, they have mastered themselves, they've mastered their own way of thinking and of behaving, you know.
Right.
So that is what we are looking at. But indeed, we continue to support women. And through, I think, this Men's Award, we are also trying to demonstrate that these are men who are doing something in fighting gender-based violence. We are encouraging them. But also through the 1 Million Men's Petition, it is men who are saying, I'm a lawyer. If you need my service during the case of gender-based violence, I can go maybe do watch and brief or give a free legal advice
right.
to the victim. Others will say, I am a doctor, I am volunteering. If there is any case that need medical assistance, I'm there. Hence, we are saying men as partners against gender-based violence, it's a responsibility of every South African.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on to Student speaking to us about this. And I know that the event, or rather the awards, the 365 Men's Awards, taking place on the 17th of November, you mentioned, 6 p.m. in Parktown. Thank you so much for joining us. Bongani Ngomane, of course, the Gauteng Department of Social Development's Chief Director, saying that they're doing more as a department's men's forum to ensure that they are good custodians of lending their voice, their support to when it comes to issues around gender-based violence, but also wanting to equally commend the men that are role models so that they can too mentor young boys through various mentorship initiatives and programs.